Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today we're reviewing the latest record from Carly Rae Jepsen entitled Dedicated. Now, I'll be honest, I've never been the biggest fan of hers. I haven't gone through a lot of her discography in depth, to be fair, but especially a lot of the big hits she had, such as Call Me Maybe, really didn't strike me as anything impressive. They just seemed like generic, overproduced pop tunes that really just left little impact at all. So, I was a bit surprised when I enjoyed a lot of the singles going into this album. And so I was really looking to give it a chance to be something really impressive. And in a lot of ways, it surprised me. I found myself enjoying a lot of the songs on this record. The opening track, Julien, is this really fun, eccentric, really just out there pop song that really encapsulates the entire themes of the album in itself. It's a great representation of what the album is like. It's one of the best songs on the album, I thought, and a really great choice for a single. This song, much like pretty much every other song on this album, its lyrics are simple but sweet. Many of them dealing with the idea of relationships. Here, her going after this guy, Julien. And again, it's just this really sweet, fun, and memorable song, much like the rest of the album. The song No Drug Like Me has this really great, powerful instrumental in the chorus that really does make it quite a fun pop banger. Definitely a really great track. There were other really good songs as well, such as Everything He Needs, which has this really fun, quirky instrumental to it that moves at an odd yet really fun pace. It goes relatively quickly, but it's a really, really fun song overall. Though, he needs me, 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 he needs me. It's just this really fun little ditty in the hook of the song, and it makes it a really enjoyable experience overall. Another song, I'll Be Your Girl, has these really powerful instrumentals to it that just make it really great. And she gives an absolutely amazing vocal performance, just belting out these tunes. And it's a really enjoyable moment on the song. I also really enjoyed Feels Right featuring Electric Guest. I thought his feature was really good. He made the chorus very enjoyable. I thought Electric Guest's vocals were spot on. And Carly Rae Jepsen does great on this song herself too. I thought, once again, this is just a really fun, upbeat, and catchy pop song that's really memorable and not quite like most other pop today. And the concluding song on the album, Party for One, I wasn't the biggest fan of it when I heard it as a single, but I have to admit, it really did grow on me listening to the album. The instrumentals seemed better and better as I listened to the song more, with the lyrics about her loving herself rather than chasing after these guys, which is kind of what the album all eventually divulges into, where she starts off love-struck and happy and in love, but then she realizes, you know what, if you're not going to care about me, I'm just going to love myself. And she's having a party for one. It's this really nice, empowering song that I think is really great in its sentiment, and it gets catchier, I think, the more you listen to it. Right Words, Wrong Time is yet another really great song on this album that is, once again, it's just really fun all the way through. I love the very piano-heavy, driven chorus in it that really does make it just such a beautiful song to listen to overall. From there were a few songs on here that I wasn't quite as crazy about. A lot of them were enjoyably catchy enough, but they just didn't leave all that big of an impression, much like a lot of her earlier work, I feel. Where it's fine, it's just, and it's catchy, it's just nothing really all that memorable or all that impressive. Songs like Want You in My Room or Now That I Found You, or even something like Happy Not Knowing, and towards the middle of the album, songs like Too Much, The Sound, Automatically in Love. These are all fun, catchy songs in their own right, but they just don't have that much going for them. The instrumentals oftentimes are pretty standard for pop tunes right now, and although it's definitely not quite as electronic as many of the big hits today, it just doesn't feel all that ambitious. It's not anything I haven't heard before. Whereas something like Julien or excuse me, Everything He Needs really did sound unique, even if they were clearly for a mainstream audience. You could tell she really had fun with these songs. And even though she still sounds like she's enjoying what she's doing, and that's a big selling point for her album, is she really does sound like she enjoys everything she does on here, and it makes it easier to enjoy it with her. I just didn't quite love a lot of the tunes to the songs. Sometimes the instrumentals were weak. And in the case of something like For Sure, I actually found the instrumentals on that song pretty dreadfully boring. It was probably the only cut on the album that bored me, if I'm being honest, because most of the songs on here are at the very least solid, but For Sure really just didn't do anything for me. I thought the instrumentals were way too stripped back for her big pop vibe and her powerful vocals, and it just felt like she was playing it really, really lazily on this song, if anything. And it really was the main weak point of the album, I thought. But even with that being said, there are so many great, memorable, fun songs on here that it makes up for a lot of the faults of this album. Again, oftentimes the biggest thing is it's just not all that memorable. Many of these songs just fail to leave any sort of impression that I haven't heard from pop songs over the past decade. So with all that being said, this was a really good album. There are a lot of great songs on here, a pretty good number of decent songs, and really only one not so great song. So I mean, with all that being said, this is a fun pop record that I think, even if you're not a huge fan of pop, you should definitely at least give it a fair shot. So I'm feeling a strong 7 on this. Again, definitely be sure to check it out. It's really fun, and it's the kind of thing that I can see appealing to a very large audience. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the album if you listen to it. Be sure to tell me how wrong all my opinions are, as always, and I'll see you in the next review.